sort of strange things.
Hello, guys. Here's the so we continue on this thing, the Ben Shapiro and Piers Morgan revisiting the viral gun control debate. So here it is, guys. This is what we have. Let's look at it and let's talk about it. Let's listen to it.
About the gun debate was that America's probably one of the most regulated countries on earth in so many ways. If I want to buy a car, I couldn't believe the amount of paperwork I had to do. If I wanted to buy a pet dog, my God, I mean, you're there all day. You know, in other words, you know, my 21, he's now 26, but my 21-year-old son at the time, 6'2", long hair and a beard, with his mate, who's the same. Took them to Gladstone's in Malibu for a lunch. And they wanted a non-alcoholic beer. And they got refused because they didn't have their ID on them. A non-alcoholic beer because it has 0.001% alcohol in it. I didn't even know that. And when I asked them to explain why, they went, yeah, I'm afraid that's the problem. They can't prove they're 21, and you have to be 21 even to have a non-alcoholic beer. The same month up in Arizona, an 8-year-old girl went to a Bullets and Burgers, had her burger, then went to the range, was handed by a former Marine a load of firearms, loaded, fired them, eventually got handed an Uzi submachine gun, fired 2 bullets, then lost control and shot the instructor in the head and killed him. A terrible tragedy. She will never get over that, I'm sure. Her parents were videoing it on their phone, and you see them suddenly lose control of the phone. They won't get over it. The guy's dead. His family won't get over it. What I won't get over is the extraordinary disparity between this draconian ruling on my son, age 22, to have a non-alcoholic beer in LA, and this 8-year-old girl. I have a 7-year-old girl now. An 8-year-old girl being able to fire an Uzi machine gun, submachine gun, loaded at a gun range, and that remains legal because it's her constitutional right to do that. That's where
I think here Piers Morgan is killing it. That is a very valid point here, because it's true. Why can she do it? And then, but when it comes to beer, we are very hardcore. We get it about beer. I think there's like the power of the NRA on this country's culture. It's very powerful, and they own Washington, and Washington cannot make any move. And I hate to say that also. It's not just the NRA. Let's not just blame the NRA. It's the voters. The voters also, they are very hardcore Second Amendment people. They do not want to bend over. Like they do not want to compromise anything. So it's a big problem. There's nothing you can do with those people. It's like so, but that is weird. That accident, that's a tragic accident. You know that what has happened there, and that's what Piers Morgan is trying to bring to us. He's trying to show us that the country is weird. It's like nothing makes sense, and that is true. So let's keep going. Let's see. Okay.
have a problem. It's more the disparity of the way that America regulates these things.
Well, I think that the real question there is criminalizing recklessness, meaning that it's a weird thing to criminalize a 21-year-old drinking a non-alcoholic beer.
Right.
And in the other case, obviously, I would think that it should be criminal recklessness to hand an 8-year-old girl a gun she's not capable of controlling, and that would be chargeable, in my view, just under probably basic negligence.
But it wasn't.
Laws. I mean, I don't know a particular case, but in my view, that should be, although not necessarily as an effect of banning guns per se, because as we've discussed now several times, I think that the countervailing view is that there are lots of law-abiding citizens who do want to be able to own a gun and should be able to own a gun.
I understand why Americans want to defend themselves. In a country with 330 million guns, I understand why Americans, I've heard Bill Maher say he has a gun, right? Because he knows he has threats and he knows that they may come with guns. The country's awash with guns. What I don't get, and this is the same debate we had before, but let me make it probably a simpler debate for the purposes of this, which is there has been an undeniable increase in the number of massacres. I'm not talking about shootings of 2-3 people. Mass shootings on a grandiose, horrific scale in the last 20 years. They are accelerating for whatever reason. And the firepower that's being used is ferocious. The guy in Dayton, in Ohio recently, he was shot dead within 24 seconds of firing his first bullet But because he had an AK-47, he's able to get off, I think, 41 rounds and hit 26 people, maybe more, of whom 9 died. And at that point, I'm like, okay, surely, if you're concerned about gun safety, and you fundamentally believe in the principle of regulation, you have it in every other part of your life, right? You have it in every part of your life. You also accept, I presume, machine guns are banned, right? Automatic weapons are banned, right? So you've accepted regulation on guns. So I say, well, why can't you go a step further now? Accept that the preferred weapon of choice of almost every one of these massacre shooters, they all use these rifles.
But that is the countervailing question, is whether what we are actually doing here is reverse engineering the regulation by focusing in on the mass shootings, meaning that every year in the United States, approximately 400 people are killed with rifles, approximately 1,600 people are killed with knives, about 30,000 people die of handgun wounds. Many of those are suicides. So are we focusing in on the mass shootings because we are focusing in on the rifles, or are we focusing on the rifles because we are focusing in on the mass shootings? Why not just go for a full gun ban, in other words? So
I don't propose a gun ban. I accept there are too many.
Yeah, we don't have to go for a full gun ban, Ben. Nobody's saying that. We're trying to mitigate the issue. He keeps repeating the same thing. I don't think it's that. We don't have to do that. Please subscribe to my channel, guys. Please follow me. Thank